Hi, I'm Robert Shelby, Chief of Police for Shelby Township. Welcome to Straight Talk. With me today is Prosecutor Peter Lucido. Mr. Lucido.
Chief, good to see you.
Good to see you, sir.
Like being here in Shelby Township, I feel I'm the safest community. I know that with you at the helm and quarterbacking the police department and public safety, it's the best ever. I've been a resident here for over 20-something years. All the Lucidos are living out here, and we love Shelby Township.
I appreciate that. This is a great community, and it's people like you that make the community great. So Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
But I'm glad you're on the show today. I want you to come and talk to our residents about all the scams that are going on and where our elderly people are being ripped off almost on a daily basis. And I know that you've done a lot of work in your office to try to prosecute these people and inform the public, and that's why we asked you to come on the show.
Well, thanks for having me, and it's very important, especially this time of the year during the holidays. There's a lot of going on, including the hustle and bustle, and there's people out there hustling our seniors as well as our vulnerables. The scams program that was implemented by the Macomb County Prosecutor, yours truly, is a program that is in virtually every city, township, and village throughout the county. All you got to do is call the office, and you can make an appointment for us to come out to your community and host a senior scam program. We also have these booklets that look just like this, everybody, in not only the police departments, but also the libraries and the senior centers. Why do we put them there? Because it gives the information that you need to know that will help eliminate a possibility of a senior scam. Also, a scam in general. And that's what we're here about today, to tell you what you need to do. We have a senior scams unit at the prosecutor's office. It's called the senior unit, as well as a consumer protection unit. And we kind of have both of them that go hand in glove.
Yeah. You know, I've been in law enforcement for 36 years now, and to me, some of the worst criminals are the people that prey on the children, and then people that prey on the elderly. And I hold my own team to high standards when it comes to prosecuting these people and catching them. Recently, we had an individual who's very closely associated with our police department, an elderly gentleman, but not too old, if that makes any sense. I think he was in his late 60s. And he called me up one morning, around 6 in the morning, and he was so upset. He thought he might have been a victim of a scam. He said, I haven't been able to sleep. It bothered me so much hearing this, and as soon as I heard it, I knew it was a scam. I told him right away, I said, this is a scam. I told him what to do, go back to your bank right now. I walked him through the whole process, and then later that morning, Rick Stathakis called me, and he said, Rick knew the guy, and Rick said, you have no idea how much I appreciate what you did. He goes, he was so upset. This affects these people so much, and I'm gonna be honest with you, it makes me sick when this happens.
It is, because I've got my mother still alive. She's 92 years old. My dad died at 96. They took care of us. That's the greatest generation, and those seniors are the greatest generation that ever lived. And to have these programs out there, as we've been talking about, Chief, you know, there's identity theft, telemarketing fraud. The first thing you have to do is you have to go ahead and commit, and that commit is to call your local police department, in this case Shelby Township, and at least have the detective listen whether or not this is a scam. Lately, we've been seeing people ripping off everyone, going and they're porch pirates. They've been taking the packages off the porch, especially during the Christmas holiday when people are ordering online, and that's how easy it is instead of going shopping. They used to steal the packages from the car when the moms and dads were in there shopping, but today the porch has all of these packages on it, and then people just pull up and help themselves, as well as your mail in the mailbox if your mailbox isn't locked, and they garner this information when they open these packages about who you are, where you live, what bank you're banking at. They can also get identity of where it is that you're getting your doctors and dentists and all those other things that put together a package to create your identity to a third party where you're going to get ripped off. And now even more so on the internet. Chief, you see that you can buy things on the internet, and they have these phony websites that are created. It looks just like the real deal, but all of a sudden they're giving this information that is yours to a website to send a package to a place where they know once they get it, you're on the hook to try to solve the equation about getting rid of the person that stole your identity. These individuals are taking the money that our seniors, especially, have worked all their life. That's their nest egg. That's what they're supposed to live on. And let's face it, they're so embarrassed sometimes that it's their own family, their own children or grandchildren that are taking their PIN numbers for their bank account, that they don't want to report it. They still want to have a relationship with that loved one, but they have to. And I hope you tell them all, please report it. Because once that person's done with you, and it could be a loved one, they're moving on to the next person.
Right. Let's get into why this is occurring. And
Sure.
I have my own theories. Let me just tell you a quick story. A friend of mine was recently in Dubai, and he said he was going back to the hotel about 11 o'clock. They had a driver, and he said he looked over, and it was the most beautiful open-air mall that he had ever seen in his life. And he said he looked at it, and it was closed. He said, but it was all lit up, and he said that the doors weren't locked, the windows were all open everywhere. He said these like luxury places with watches and jewelries and everything. And he made a comment to the driver. He said, look, anyone can go in there and steal. And the guy said, nobody steals here. And I want you to try to rationalize or explain to our residents, why do people in this country think they can go do this to our elderly people, 90 people in their 90s and 80s, and get away with it? Why is this happening?
Because it's easy. And on top of it, we have lazy individuals that will not go out and get a job, and they sit there all day on the internet, surfing the internet, or better yet, they go ahead and they play now online. Gaming online has caused a lot of this. The casinos have caused a lot of this because they're addicted to gambling, they're addicted to drugs. They find themselves that they go ahead and they have this urge to go ahead and steal, and it starts to fill and fuel this need that they have. And on top of it, we have a system that's built up where the punishment doesn't fit the crime.
Right.
When you're stealing every nickel that somebody worked all their life, I want to say it, darn it, you better go ahead and punish the hell out of them to send a message through the community. This is not going to be allowed in our community, and it's not going to be allowed in our citizenry at the state level. You can put any kind of crime or penalty associated with it, but why aren't the people following the law?
Right.
It's the consequences.
Right.
There's not deep enough, hard enough, rational enough consequences.
I couldn't agree with you more. And from my perspective, our police officers do a great job. Our investigators, I hear the stories regularly, and then I go see the end result of punishment, and almost every time it's nothing. It's truly sickening and disgusting. I don't understand what. I probably need one of my handlers here to pull me back right now, but I'm not gonna hold back.
But it's soft on crime. I mean, if that's the society we're facing and moving towards. As I was a legislator up there, I did some criminal justice reforms that were balanced, reasonable, reforms that made sense, but now they want to take away where the judges don't have any authority to have a bond on somebody. Where is the discretion lie? I mean, who is going to get the bonds and who isn't? We'll get into that in a moment, but I want to talk about a couple other things real quick.
Sure.
I want to talk about these things called Michigan patient advocates, where there you have an advocate to take care of your physical needs, and a guardian takes care of the physical needs of a person that is infirmed or vulnerable, and a conservator takes care of the money. So this book also talks about those directives, who you're going to pick. It talks about rights of a guardian. What are the responsibilities of the guardian? It also talks about having somebody be your conservator who's handling your money. Man, you better make sure that you trust this person because they can take everything you got. And then choosing a nursing home. Today, I don't know if you know, Chief, but Macomb County of almost 1 million people has a very aged population. And that population is getting older. And we stay in here because it's a great, great county to live in. And Shelby, if you look at your residents that are living here, they're aging. We have a senior community now of roughly 58% of Macomb County are seniors. What does that mean? We've got to be vigilant. We've got to be on guard. And we want to make sure that when they do go to nursing care, whether it be, independent living, assisted living, whether it be memory care, that you know your rights, responsibilities. Even though you're living in somebody else's brick and mortar building, the biggest thing you can do is know what the rights are of the nursing home resident, know what they are supposed to do, know what they can do, what they can't do, and ask the questions. It's here. Take the time and look at what it is, because this is you. This is what you live for, your golden years. Make sure they're golden. But getting back to what you said, when somebody's taking advantage of those that can't take care of themselves. That's when we need the protection of the police to investigate, to do what's necessary, to step in and handle the affairs, or Adult Protective Services to at least put them on notice that we will not tolerate this.
Any of our residents in Shelby, if you want to get a copy of Mr. Lucito's book, please call my office and we'll make sure we mail one out to you, or you can stop in and pick one up. I'll have a stack on hand.
Thanks,
We'd love to get them out to you. I want to tell you a story that happened to us last summer, or this past summer. Lieutenant Hogan, actually it was then Sergeant Hogan, comes and tells me a story about a guy. He was a foreign national, okay? I don't know what the proper term is, but he was here in the country illegally, a Mexican guy, right? And he went and picked up $18,000 from a 90-year-old woman at her house, knocked on the door. She passed him the money, and he got in the car and drove away. Now, we would never been able to solve this case in a million years, right? But what happened is a vigilant citizen saw him get out of the car, thought it was suspicious, watched him walk down the block, and he went out and tried to get a picture of the guy's license plate, which was incredible work, right? The guy didn't have a license plate. He had a temporary tag. So now you know the chances on catching him are slim to none. He got a close-up of the temp tag. The car was out of Indiana, so our people started investigating, and we got in touch with the real owner, believe it or not, and the owner says, yeah, I lent my vehicle to so-and-so. Well, who is he? He goes, well, you know, and basically it was the same guy, right? So do you have his number? Yep. And he was staying at some local motel around here. We went, arrested him, brought him back to the station. He admitted right away what he did. He said, look, I get paid $100 to do this. I turned the money over to my, to the head guy, right? And we asked him, do you want to work with us? He said, absolutely, I'll help you, no problem.
That's good.
So the next day, we had a task force, about 13 officers, all in undercover cars and undercover, dress and everything. And we were going to go out and do this. So his first call he got was to go to Harrison Township. He went over there, picked up another 12 or 15,000 from a elderly person, same exact thing. And what we did, as soon as he come out to our car, he gave us the money. We called the sheriff's department, left one officer behind, and then he got the next call to go to West Bloomfield, okay, to do the same thing. We get out to West Bloomfield. He picks up his another 18. Do you want to say something?
Yeah, because it sounds like there's people on telephone lines or communicating somehow, either through communication to the computer, to bait these individuals that are vulnerable, and that's all he's doing is collecting the money for them.
Correct. So anyhow, what ends up happening is when, let me back up 1 second. When Hogan took his crew out of 13 guys, I told Hogan, which is totally against our policy, totally against our procedures, if the guy tries to escape out of the box, make sure you ram his car. He ain't getting away. That's how strongly I feel about this stuff,
That's
okay?
good, Chief.
I told him I want the car rammed if he tries to escape out of the box, right? So Hogan said, okay, sir, whatever. So anyways, I'm listening on the radio. They go to West Bloomfield. They do it again. This is 3 times in one day where they're picking up these large sums of money, and this guy is not smart enough to do it. He's just being told to go pick the money up, right? So now it's time for him to make the drop to the head guy, and that's when I talked about where we're going to ram the guy. And I think they were down somewhere in Madison Heights, and we had all our cars in the area, and one of our best detectives was out there. He had the eye on the exchange, and he couldn't see if they made the exchange or not. And the funny thing is, I was listening from my desk, and I hesitated. I was going to scream on the radio, I don't care if they make exchange, stop that vehicle. But I didn't say anything. Sure enough, they saw the exchange. The guy did not try to run. They boxed him in, and they arrested him, okay? This guy is he was in the country legally, but he was a Cuban national, okay? And just got here, like he doesn't live in the United States, and somehow he had some kind of legal paperwork. Anyways, so in one 24-hour period, we got these crew of getting 3 different elderly people and ripping off in 2 counties. So I asked Lieutenant Hogan yesterday, what is the status of the case? Now, it was a loaded question because I know what the answer is in advance. They're going to do nothing with them. I'm so sick of this, okay? And he agreed with me. He said, Chief, I'm going to find out for you, but I can promise you they're going to do nothing with it. So, we go through this. It's like hitting our head off the wall. We have these organized crews coming into Shelby Township right now. They're coming in all over. I shouldn't say Shelby Township. And they're coming in and stealing airbags, Cadillac converters, radios, vehicles, and they're doing it all over. I'm talking to my colleagues. It's a rush. And what they do, if we get up and catch them or get close to them, they get in a car and they go 100 miles an hour. Now, guess what? I'm not having my people chase them, and let me tell you why. Because if I thought there was going to be any punishment, we'd pursue them to the ends of the earth. But guess what? And not because of your office. Thank God for you, Mr.
We're
Lucido.
charging.
Yeah,
We're
100%.
Anytime, any crime, because the role of the prosecutor is not to see that justice is done, but to be a minister of justice and know that it's fair. If somebody breaks the law, the lawmakers made the law to be enforced. Otherwise, don't pay for a lawmaker. If nothing's going to get enforced, don't pay for a lawmaker, because the lawmaker makes the law. The judges are supposed to enforce the law.
Of course.
That's their responsibility.
Of course. So what is happening with these car thieves and these guys stealing this stuff, I'm going to be very clear to our residents. Every single one of them have been caught multiple times. Not 2 or 3, 5, 6, 8, 10, 15 times. And they walk out the door with impunity. And that's why they keep doing this. So that's why I won't allow my guys to go after.
So how can we get judges to understand that the residents that aren't breaking the law, the majority, the ones that pay the taxes, that pay their salary, that put them in their nice cars and their nice homes, how do we make the judges know that we, the citizens, we, the people, want to make sure that they're upholding their end of the bargain when we put them in office to uphold the law and make sure that they're tough on crime? Well, how can we do that?
Well, okay, listen.
Because you arrest them, I charge them, now the judges go ahead, they set the penalty, they set the standard. They have sentencing guidelines, which is a range of time that they can give. And if they go upwards, above that, they have to tell why, or if they go downward.
Of course.
But if they don't give any time, they don't have to say anything. And what's happening, like you said, over and over and over. How many chances do you give somebody where you said, enough's enough?
Right.
And what is it that our system has done? Has it created boxes to put people in, and at the end of the day, why aren't we getting them to do something productive while they're behind bars?
Right,
Why
agree.
am I paying for somebody to play cards and watch television and feed them 3 squares a day and put heat on? I should be able to get some utility back for the damage that they created to society.
And I think most men that were in prison would want to work and feel productive instead of sitting around doing nothing. I agree with you. So you're asking, how do we get these judges to do this? I don't know the answer. I've thought about personally, if I ever lashed out publicly, I'd lose my career. I'd be fired instantly, okay? I can't say anything, if that makes any sense.
It's the people. The people that actually are the voters. The people have a right to at least have their judges can be confronted by having a day with your court, having a day of your judges, asking the question, why is it that I became a victim of a crime and then I saw him walk out the door? I go home with the scars, the bruises, and sometimes when it's a death case, I can't bring that person back, but this person is going to live and not be the one that I've got to go visit in a cemetery. This bothers me too.
Yes.
But the truth be told, judges need to be accountable for their actions on the bench. Just like you're accountable in the law enforcement, I'm accountable in the prosecutor's office to do my job. And the individuals that are in this community, they need to go ahead and hold their judges accountable, just like they're holding their prosecutor and their law enforcement accountable.
I couldn't agree more, and that's very well said. I think one of the things that could be done is where this stuff is printed in a newspaper, where the newspaper prints what the person did and then prints who the judge is and what the punishment is.
Totally.
And
That's called transparency.
Yeah.
And on top of that, if a judge sets a bond on somebody that I think is a real threat to the community based on past criminal acts, past hits with the law, the nature of the circumstances of the crime, if that bond is so low that I know that that person should be remanded without bond, I have a right and a duty to protect the citizens like you do of the state. That's the oath of office we took. I'm filing a motion to revisit the bond. Judge, I think that you need to take this all into consideration, because all I can do is make a record to ensure that if the public sees that this person was let go and commits another offense,
yes,
that at least I have a record to tell the citizens of this county, I asked for a higher bond and the judge sets the bond. I can only argue for a higher bond. Judges have the ultimate discretion in setting the bond.
Mr. Lucido, a few years ago, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, I was a newer chief here in Shelby, and a young man, I shouldn't say young man, I think he was in his late 20s, he beat an elderly woman to death in Warren, okay? And there was a rumor that he was running around Shelby Township somehow. He had some kind of ties here. And sure enough, our guys caught him. He was trying to break into a house where a mother was home alone with her 2 young children. This is like 9 in the morning, 8 in the morning. And our guys caught him. And I went out there and I found out what his criminal past was. And I actually said into the cameras, I did a live interview with 2, 4, and 7. The radio station was there. I said, I want to know who the judge is that let this guy out. Well, I'm going to tell you something privately. I took heat from that private heat.
But why?
Private heat for
Why?
saying that I dared question why this guy was out on the street. And I'm trying to learn to keep my mouth shut.
Me too, Chief. I gotta
well,
tell
you don't have to.
We have the same bad habit. We like to tell the truth,
Yes.
and we like to tell it the way it is. The citizens respect us, and they appreciate somebody who is going to be transparent, honest, and open about the dialogue. It's the citizens, though, sometimes that they don't have the time to understand everything that's going on or what the court system is doing. And I don't know how else to do it but to do a show like we're doing right now, to say it like it is, tell it like it is, be the people we are, because we're accountable to the citizens that put us in our spots. We're accountable.
I agree. And my worry, I want to make sure that our residents know that our police department is doing their job. They're keeping these streets safe. And then as far as the punishment goes, we can't control that. So I want to make sure that we stress that. And you know that better than anybody. You know, if you had a problem, you'd call me up and say, hey, you guys aren't doing their
All
job.
the time.
I've never had that call from you.
We
not one
have the
time.
best relationship, truthfully. Everybody in this community, I call the chief, he gets the job done. He calls me, I'm going to get the job done.
Yes.
I got a couple more pamphlets. One is there's no excuse for elderly abuse. These pamphlets will be made available at the police department also, local libraries, senior center, and it has numbers on the back to report senior abuse. We have the Attorney General's Task Force. We have LARA if it deals with a government agency that's licensed, and the Macomb County Prosecutor's Office Senior Crimes Unit, and we have one more. This is for all of the units at the Macomb County Prosecutor's Office right here. I need you to take a look at this. I need you to read this. It's real easy. And why do I bring these? Because it's something that the public, if they don't go online and they don't know how to use a computer, because there is those like my mom, I'll hand them this, or the law enforcement will, and said it's utilized because there's numbers here to look at too. It's very important that you look at those numbers because it's old school. They can take the phone, dial them up, and start talking to them and get the job done. We're here to serve, both of us. That's what our job is. And as a result, we want to keep the community safe, and we want to keep at least the dialogue open. You know, you guys in law enforcement on the streets, you are the first line of defense for anybody who is having trouble in their neighborhoods or in their businesses or whatever it may be. How else do we keep a rational and level-minded community unless we have good police officers and we have good prosecutors that will actually be ministers of justice to see that the job is done? It's judging at the end that'll make the difference on the rehabilitation. And if somebody wants to be rehabilitated to stop breaking the law, it's their choice. But if they don't, there has to be consequences because we, the people, should not suffer any more of these bad crimes.
You know, I love what you're talking about right now, how we're trying to educate the public. One of the things that could be done, I know you know this, is people like you and I that have elderly parents, we have to educate them ourselves too and warn them against all the threats and have some kind of control measure where they can't give their money away. Do you agree with that?
100%. My mom, I look at her mail when I go over to her house. I tell her, do not pick up that phone. Look at your caller ID. If you don't recognize it's one of your children or one of your loved ones, why are you picking it up for them to bait you? On top of it, even in their mail, Mom, throw this stuff out. Don't send no money to these charities. We don't even know who these people are. I want them to be protected for one reason. When they get hurt by these individuals, we don't know how deep that hurt will be. So always be vigilant of your family, your loved ones, your seniors, and every time you have a chance, help a senior. Because you know what? They put this world together that we all live in. Give them a chance to enjoy the rest of their life in this world that they put together.
You have no idea how much I appreciate you coming on the show and helping educate our residents. We have two of our detectives, Sergeant Charles Johnson and Detective Ryan Nicely, and they both have went out into the community, into different churches and stuff, and given presentations on the frauds, and they've done such a good job. I'm so proud of them. However, listening to you talk today, They're out. You're in. Okay. I'm going to let you know the next time we have a large gathering and ask if you can come by for a minute or two, if you wouldn't mind. I'd love to see you there, and not take away anything from what they've done because they're fantastic. But you're definitely passionate about this.
But one thing we both have in common, Chief, we both belong to the Shelby Kiwanis Golden K, and we're both there, and we do that because we are seniors, so we have to protect our own.
100%.
You got it.
Mr. Lucido, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much. Merry Christmas to you and your family.
Merry Christmas to you and your family, Chief. Be safe. All the officers here in Shelby Township, Merry Christmas.
Thank you. You've been watching Straight Talk. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to your families, and we'll see you next year.